Following the All-Stars defeat to Atletico Madrid on Wednesday night, priorities in MLS shifted back to league matters this weekend. We have all 12 games covered here, starting with a cracker in Colorado.
The Rapids hadn't won in their last 4 as they welcomed playoff chasing Montreal for this cross-conference matchup. Your commentator is Mike Sewell.
Safir Taider to take the corner for Montreal. Headed in by Kai Kamara. Inexplicably, the Colorado striker has headed in. It's an excellent finish by Kamara at the wrong end of the field. Price with the free kick. Plenty of options in the middle. Kamara darting to the back post. Here he is! It's in, but it's gone in off the goalkeeper, Evan Bush. Lalas Abubakar's presence causing Bush all sorts of problems. And it goes in off the back of the goalkeeper. Price with the long ball. Headed down by Kamara towards Smith. Price for a penalty on 2 counts there. Initially Smith and then Diego Rubio. It's gone to a video review, and you can see that Shamit Shom caught Rubio, and referee De Oliveira has given a penalty. Kamara, to redeem himself, puts Colorado in front, having given Montreal the lead. Calm penalty from the Colorado striker. Nicholson, deep to the far post and off the post. Here's Kamara. A second goal for Kamara at the right end of the field. His 10th of the season. Nicholson's cross-come shot wasn't dealt with by Montreal, and Kamara pounced to make it 3-1. Price drills it right into the heart of the penalty area, and it's headed in by Rubio. Not the tallest player on the pitch, but he got in ahead of Bush. Long ball lifted down the line for Chonier. He's got Abubakar for company. Still Chonier, does well to keep it in play. Now here's Arruti. Oh, that's a really good finish by Maxi Arruti. Pulls a goal back for the impact. Mooted celebrations. 4-2. Played into the feet of Arruti. Neat layoff. Chonier into the penalty area and down under the challenge. No hesitation on the part of the referee. It's another penalty, this time for Montreal. So Owen to face Taider from the penalty spot. And Taider brings it back to 4-3. Montreal still in this game. Price with another one of these set pieces, drilled into the penalty area. Shinya Shiki with the header. Colorado get their 5th of the night and restore their 2-goal cushion. Excellent corner from Price. Great diving header from Shinya Shiki. Price looking towards the far post where Kai Kamara is waiting. It's a hat-trick. Evan Bush well beaten. Colorado scores 6 in a regular season match for the first time. Painful night for Evan Bush, who committed himself, and Kamara, well, he just can't stop scoring.
It was a good day, I gotta say, because you know, we've been struggling. You know, we had a good streak for a while, and it's been 5 games since we were able to put something together, and really today was a good day to really get back to it, and not just that, getting 3 points, but putting that many goals on the board. It really helped not just us, but also, you know, boost the fans that came out there to support us, so it's good.
To one of Kai Kamara's many former clubs now, the New England Revolution, who under Bruce Arena were 11 matches unbeaten. But Supporters' Shield leaders LAFC would provide the toughest examination of their credentials. The visitors' pedigree accentuated by the quality of Diego Rossi's 8th-minute finish. Bob Bradley used to share a technical area while working under Arena, but his LAFC team were dominant. Carlos Vela denied before the break by the razor-sharp reactions of defender Andrew Farrell. Arena's unblemished MLS record since taking the Revs' top job in May looked vulnerable, especially after Teal Bunbury's single-minded approach to the home team's big second-half chance. But the black and gold proved why they are shimmering at the top of the West. They don't just have individual brilliance in the armoury, but a collective excellence too. Latif Blessing calmly finished off a cohesive team move to prove once again that LAFC are a beast that even the strong-willed are struggling to tame.
Men in suits heading for the business end of the regular season. For the Seattle Sounders, business had been good so far, whereas Sporting Kansas City needed points to force them up towards the playoffs. Felipe Gutierrez's 12th-minute opener certainly put SKC on a firm footing at CenturyLink Field. Half an hour in, the pace of Gerso prompted desperate measures from Seattle defender Nuhu Tolo. Despite initially giving a corner, referee Ismail Elfath decided to go to a video review and concluded that Gerso had been fouled. Barely 20 minutes after giving SKC the lead, Gutierrez stepped forward to extend the visitors' advantage. The half-time interval appeared to refocus the Sounders, who almost straight from the restart surged their way back into the game. Jordan Morris striking for the second time in as many matches to make it 2-1. Sporting KC were unruffled by their hosts' electrifying start to the second half. Shortly before the hour mark, Eric Hurtado showed great speed and composure to restore their 2-goal advantage. It had been a year to the day since his last goal in MLS. But Morris & Co. refused to concede defeat. With 8 minutes left, the USA international struck again to make it 3-2. And as the clock ticked round to 90 minutes, Seattle thought they'd rescued a point, only for the rebound from Handwala Buana's shot to be diverted wide by Morris. It was the second time this season SKC had beaten the Sounders by this scoreline.
The San Jose Earthquakes have emerged from the pack in recent weeks to mount a serious playoff challenge. 4 straight wins had rocketed them up the Western Conference table, and a fifth beckoned when Christian Espinosa's cross struck the arm of Columbus Crew's Harrison Arful. The wobble of the fullback's right hand, the giveaway as to the point of contact. Magnus Eriksson's penalty was precise, and a just reward for the Quakes' first-half dominance. A second goal after the restart would probably have been enough for the hosts, but the Crew goalkeeper Eloy Room's stop to deny Danny Houston was one of several as frustrations grew. If nothing else, Columbus persevered, and just after the hour mark, they took advantage of a rare glimpse of goal. Luis Diaz's cross landed right on the head of Jazi Zardes, who became his team's outright leading scorer with his 8th of the campaign. A point would have represented a strong foundation for the Crew before facing rivals FC Cincinnati next week, and they have room to thank for that after he prevented San Jose's main hitman another for his tally. Chris Wondolowski denied a stoppage time winner.
One of the form sides in the Western Conference, welcomed by another. Both Minnesota United and the Portland Timbers boasted 6-game unbeaten records heading into their meeting at Allianz Field. An impressive double save by Minnesota goalkeeper Vito Mannone from Jorge Morera and Sebastian Blanco was the highlight of a largely cagey first half. It wasn't until the final 10 minutes that the drama began to unfold. Mannone was relieved to see Brian Fernandez's effort come back off the frame of his goal, while his Portland counterpart Steve Clark breathed an equally big sigh of relief when Mason Toye narrowly failed to convert Abu Danladi's cross. The key moment came with 3 minutes left. Following Jan Greguš's corner, several Minnesota players appealed for a penalty. And after a video review showed a handball by Laris Mabiala, referee Chris Penso obliged by awarding the home team a penalty. Despite Clark's desperate dive, Ethan Finlay converted in added time to win it for the Loons and extend their unbeaten run in MLS to 7 matches.
The message from the Real Salt Lake players may have been, do it for the boss, after their coach Mike Petke was absent from the sidelines again following a suspension for verbally abusing an official. He's also been told to take anger management training, which may have helped him cope with New York City FC's 4th-minute opener from Alex Ring. Soon after, Jefferson Savarino was the one who required a cool head, but RSL's chance for a swift response wasn't seized upon by the Venezuelan. His moment would come again, though. Just 10 seconds after leaving the boot of NYCFC goalkeeper Sean Johnson, the ball was in the back of his net. Savarino opted for power, and the result was a devastatingly dispatched first-half equaliser. Wherever Petke may have been watching, he can't help but to have been impressed with the quality of his team's finishing. The Eastern Conference contenders' net was rattled again with 15 minutes to go by Albert Rusnak's lethal accuracy. Rio Tinto Stadium rightly roused by RSL's response. The hosts have had a largely inconsistent season, but this was a statement victory. The points confirmed by one of the weekend's more intuitive finishes. Nick Beasler's inventive flick to divert Savarino's hopeful shot has kept RSL very much in the playoff picture. The Five Stripes All-Stars were aiming for the top in the East. The 5-time champions stood in their way. Commentary comes from Matt Jackson and Phil Blacker.
A little bit of showboating there from Pity Martinez. Well, this is a great ball.
Alvarez slipping it through towards Antuna Kuzen out very quickly, as he needed to be.
Really good, experienced goalkeeping. I think it's as good a tempo to a game as I've seen in MLS all season so far. And it is really like both teams have been told you've got to win or you're out the league, and they're just going for it. It's fantastic standard.
And there's Pity Martinez. It's the own goal. It's the opening goal for Atlanta United. Went in off Dave Romney. Quarter of the way through the contest, and the champions hit the front here. Pity Martinez at the centre of it. The final touch of the unfortunate centre-back.
It's horrible for defenders. They have to lunge in there. The instinct is always to cut the space. An absolutely horrible feeling for David Bingham as that ball flashes past him. Well done, Pity Martinez.
Joseph Martinez into space for Justin Meram to take on Felcher. Gonzalez there to nudge it clear. Meram and Pity Martinez work it wonderfully well between them. This is Barco. Just had the time to get his shot away. He didn't need a lot of time. And he was so close to doubling the lead.
Barco's unlucky, takes a great first touch, gets that off quickly. Bingham doesn't see it, can't react. Really unlucky, but again, just such great pace in the plate. It's absolutely unbelievable and relentless the way that Atlanta are attacking.
As they do again here with Barco. Wonderful ball for Pity Martinez! And again they strike the frame of the goal for the second time in this first half. So close. What would have been a wonderfully worked goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's great play, great movement. You see how quickly the pass gets made? Yeah, it would probably just have been pulled back.
Martinez working it wide for Justin Merrin. Good ball back in! And the lead is doubled. 2-0. Martinez lurking again, but I think it's another own goal. Giancarlo Gonzalez, the defender this time.
Martinez going between the centre-backs. He knows that if one of them misses it, he's going to get a chance himself. The centre-backs know that. It puts them under pressure. Such similar circumstances leading to both goals.
There's Darlington Nagby. Gressel in support of the attack. Joseph Martinez, Bingham right behind it. Quickly back to his feet again as they try to bundle in the rebound. Free taking a long look. He wants to have another look.
Here we see the challenge from Gonzalez. It's not... Is it that he's looking at? I don't see that.
What is the verdict from Drew Fisher?
Wow.
He's given it.
That's a real surprise.
Joseph Martinez scores emphatically from the penalty spot and scores for the 9th game running in Major League Soccer to equal his own record. He can't stop scoring over the summer. There's a confident penalty. 13 goals in those 9 matches now for last season's top scorer. The 5 stripes get the better of the 5 times champions in fine fashion. 3-0.
I don't think anyone in this locker room is looking at the standings and saying, "Yeah, we're in first place." No, it means nothing. We're looking at it game-by-game performance and how do we get better so that in 2-3 months, whatever it is, come playoffs, we find ourselves in the playoffs, but we're on an upward trend.
DC United stood between the Philadelphia Union and a return to the top of the Eastern Conference. The Union, who only needed to avoid defeat to do so, took less than 3 minutes to get the upper hand against their East Coast rivals. Alejandro Bedoya, the goal scorer. But it was shortly before half-time that the game swung generously in Philadelphia's favour. Junior Moreno's foul on Kacper Shibilko resulted in a penalty and a caution for the DC defender. But after a subsequent video review, referee Armando Villarreal decided to increase Moreno's punishment by swapping yellow for red. Ben Olsen's team a man down. But instead of finding themselves 2 goals down, Shibilko gave DC a reprieve. Ultimately, a very small one. In first half stoppage time, Marco Fabian extended the Union's advantage. There was no let-up from Philadelphia after the break. Within 7 minutes, it was 3-0. Shibilko exploiting space to score his 10th league goal of the season. 10-man DC were given a modicum of hope 2 minutes later when Frédéric Briand forced the ball over the line to make the score 3-1. The Union lost 4-0 in their previous outing and were determined to make amends for that defeat. Goal number 4 came from Fabian, albeit via a deflection, his 4th goal in 5 games. Philadelphia's unrelenting pursuit of goals only stretched DC further. In the 90th minute, Fabian's replacement, Fafa Pico, was left unattended to make it 5-1. A result which emphatically sent the Union back to the top of the standings.
A win for Toronto FC at Red Bull Arena would have taken them above the New York Red Bulls in the Eastern Conference table. Such are the fine margins for so many jostling for playoff positions. And those differences in a game can often be minute too. Take Josie Altidor's expertly chipped finish for Toronto, a goal scratched off for offside by an exasperating difference of just millimetres. The Red Bulls were having one of those days where fortune favoured them at every turn. Alejandro Pozuelo denied by post, and then Luis Robles, not that he meant it. But the same couldn't be said about the veteran's next intervention. In a relentless first half from Toronto, Robles was the barrier that the Red Bulls badly needed. A one-handed reaction save stopped Jacob Schaffelberg as the hosts somehow escaped the half with a clean sheet still intact. If that wasn't deflating enough for Toronto, the hosts' opening goal 10 minutes into the second half would have compounded the feeling of regret. Kaku's cross struck the unfortunately sprawled Chris Mavinga to give the Red Bulls the lead. The red mist had scarcely dissipated in more ways than one when Jonathan Osorio rather clumsily swiped at Mark Schikowski. Penalty awarded with the contact just taking place inside the area. But the previously ever-reliable Daniel Royer missed an MLS spot kick for the first time, and by some distance. Toronto's escape was only temporary. Justin Morrow made a mess of a long ball and then hauled down Bradley Wright-Phillips for good measure. The defender's straight red card effectively ended the visitors' hopes of a late comeback. They may argue that luck was never with them, and it's hard to find a counter-argument after the Red Bulls' second goal in stoppage time arrived after a multitude of deflections. Kamar Lawrence, the beneficiary, a crucial win for the hosts.
3 days after hosting this year's MLS All-Star game, Orlando City faced FC Dallas at Exploria Stadium. It marked a first appearance against his former club for Orlando forward Tesho Akindele, who, after giving his new club the lead in the 13th minute, respectfully refrained from celebrating too enthusiastically. Akindele had already scored more league goals in 2019 than he did in any of his 5 seasons in Dallas. Midway through the second half, he almost struck number 9 for the year. With 10 minutes left, FC Dallas were adamant they should have been awarded a penalty for what they felt was a handball by Orlando defender Lamine Sane. The incident was analysed by referee Silviu Petrescu, but he didn't agree with the claims and no penalty was given. Dallas's disappointment was compounded in added time when Orlando made the point safe. Sasha Kleshchen provided the fancy footwork. Carlos Asquez the finish for his first goal in Major League Soccer. The victory was Orlando's first in 4 matches and an important win in their quest for the playoffs.
Those at BBVA Stadium could hardly have been expecting a classic encounter. Strangely absorbing, perhaps, but only because of the tension that both teams would have been feeling after difficult periods of form. The Houston Dynamo first to test through leading scorer Mauro Manotas. The more realistic observers would have noted that a single goal may well have been enough for either team. It came the Chicago Fire's way in first half stoppage time, thanks to Nemanja Nikolić's delicately flicked finish. Quite how the hosts escaped without conceding a second after an almighty goalmouth scramble was extraordinary. Houston's once sound home form has seemingly deserted them, but for the Fire, this was a timely win to close the gap on the top 7 in the East.
Finally, FC Cincinnati's home game against the Vancouver Whitecaps turned out to be Johan Dame's last as interim coach, following the announcement that Dutchman Ron Jans will be taking over on a permanent basis. Alan Cruz's 6th-minute goal gave Dame hope that he might be able to end his temporary tenure on a winning note. The Whitecaps had other ideas. Just before half-time, Hwang In-bum drove them level with his 2nd goal for the club. Immediately after the break, Cincinnati went agonisingly close to restoring their lead. Maxime Crépeau getting his fingertips to the ball to deny Cruz a 2nd goal. Not long after, Crépeau had to rely solely on his crossbar to keep out this audacious effort from Mathieu Deplan. And having survived those 2 scares, Vancouver stole the points with 6 minutes remaining. Felipe bringing to an end a 9-game winless run and inflicting on Cincinnati a 4th consecutive defeat.
Ron Jans has his work cut out at FC Cincinnati, who are now 8 points adrift at the foot of the East. Atlanta briefly jumped into first place, but Philadelphia's big win at DC re-establishes their position at the top of the pile.
LAFC's lead in the West continues to grow, 14 points is now the difference between them and second place, which is now occupied by Minnesota, who climbed from 5th. Colorado remained bottom despite their handsome win over the Impact.
We leave you with Kai Kamara's eventful evening against Montreal.
Was it 5 goals for me? Just me? Just 4. 4?
Kai Kamara does make sure. The hat-trick hero, Kai Kamara, has made it 6-3 on an unforgettable night.
This copyrighted telecast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.